Oh my God, I've got the most points against. Oh my God, my division. Just don't be that dude. Don't be that dude.
Don't chat. Log out.
Don't chat.
Don't ever chat. Don't trade. Don't chat.
Don't form any relationships ever.
Ever. It just leads to pain and embarrassment.
The IDP show, now you know.
Welcome to the IDP show. I'm your host, Josh Raymer, joined in the Sode Shack tonight. On my right, Adam Markham. Addy, how are you, hon?
Oh, Josh.
Currently sweating it out right now, aren't you?
It's tough right now, of course, but thinking more about Friday. Old Jaelan Phillips gone forever.
Yeah, what a rough week it was.
It was tough.
In
Black Friday, indeed.
That is the exact note that Arn has here in the doc, was that it was a dark, dark Friday in the Markham household.
Yeah, it was tough. But, if there's anybody that can bounce back, it's Jaelan Phillips. So.
And the MetLife turf claims another victim.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers going down. I saw Rodgers tried to reach out to Jaelan Phillips. He's like, man, listen, ayahuasca. Wow. Go to this surgeon. He only takes cash, okay, and it's in a warehouse, okay. But you got to trust me.
Stay away from him, Jaelan.
Yeah, don't trust the guy who's trying to get back out there and start practicing like this coming week. I think
that's a weird idea.
It's going to be really.
I don't get what he's trying to do there.
Yeah, he's motivated to come back faster from an Achilles injury than anyone ever has. Well, congratulations, Aaron. When you re-tear that Achilles. You're probably going to be on the shelf for next season as well, bud.
Going to feel real dumb.
Real dumb. Just set it down. It's not worth it coming back to this train wreck of a Jets team. So, yes, tough news with Jaelan Phillips on the shelf with the torn Achilles. The wall, I think the wall finally does need a change now, Addy.
Yeah.
Because the jersey is officially not just a little bit, kind of tired and stale with how Shaq Leonard's been playing. It's outdated because Shaq was released outright last week by the Colts. Weird scene today. I don't know if you were watching any games.
I saw it. Very awkward.
Very weird. He kind of badmouths the team at his charity event, which good on him for still doing the charity event. Looks like Ravens going to punch it in here. We're watching the end of Sunday Night Football. But it looks like the Ravens are going to get the dub. Is that Zay Flowers? Oh, it was. Beautiful. Does your opponent have Zay Flowers?
No, we just need them not. We need the offense, not to be on the field. We need Keenan Allen not to catch any more balls.
Sorry. So Shaq Leonard handing out turkeys at his charity event says after the event's over, kind of feels like they just threw me out the door. So you're like, uh-oh, this kind of ended a little badly. They told Shaq they were going to make him inactive. And then I think less than a day later, they released him. And then it comes out today, they've got him at his suite at the stadium. They show like a tribute video. There's a standing ovation. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that for a player that was just released by the team.
Yeah, same. I was very caught off guard with all that. Never seen it. Just a weird vibe. Has to be. I mean, and then like his wife was with him, and
yeah, the kid,
and it's just, I don't know. It just feels.
It felt like Jim Irsay orchestrated that. He's like, I feel bad. We need to get Shaq here and honor him. Chris.
He's had a weird few weeks.
It's been a really tough time to be a Colts fan because Jim Irsay is in that just like rich white man don't care, like supreme phase of that stage of life where it's like he's really saying some questionable stuff on Twitter that I don't know how he hasn't been canceled yet. I guess because he's rich and a white and a billionaire. It's like,
I don't know.
He doesn't care.
He's not going to let you cancel
exactly.
him. I mean, he's like,
you can try, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, there is something that's it's kind of admirable that you're not going to cancel me.
You're not going to do it. I just refuse. So welcome in. This is the Week 12 recap. We're glad that you guys are here. We are going to be going through every game from Week 12, except for Monday Night Football, which is happening tomorrow, involving your Vikings, Addy. You guys have, I believe, who is the game tomorrow night? It's Chicago. So
yeah, everyone's going to be excited about that one.
Yeah, wow, okay. I think the only interest I have is we're going against each other in our main league, the XFFL. Benched Jordan Love. for Josh Dobbs.
Thank you.
So Dobbs could still do well. I mean, Chicago's defense is nothing to write home about, but 34 points from Jordan Love on the bench.
I need a win really
scene.
bad. It's a really tight race in the playoffs in that league.
Yes,
Josh
it
is rebuilding, does not need this at all. So
I'm absolutely going to take it.
It's very annoying, but it's been one of those weeks. It's been a very annoying week.
My team's got the heart of a champion. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it happens. So let's jump into the Chasing Greatness Elite Seekers update. Anyone that joined the 40-point club this week, and then we'll just go through game by game, hitting storylines and top scores from each game. Y'all know how this works. Addie, we had 2 people join the wall. Actually, we had 1 player return to the wall. He had previously been up there. Looks like I'll have to find what week he was up there for the first time. But no, this is his first time. The Lions have allowed the second 40-point score. That's what it is. Rashan Gary, Thanksgiving game, joined the wall with a 40.55-point performance against the Detroit Lions. Let's see who else. They gave up to Trey Brown, a DB for the Seahawks back in week 2. So they have the inglorious designation of being one of these several teams. It looks like there's 5 teams now that have given up 40-point IDP scores. So Rashan Gary joins the wall, as does Jessie Bates. Falcons safety, who put up 41.7 against the Saints. Falcons back in first place in the NFC South. Are we really going to have to put up with Arthur Smith and this wackadoo offense and, Bijan Robinson truthers crying in their cereal in the playoffs, Addy?
I mean, shoot, maybe. It's an awful division.
So bad.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to be a dysfunctional team in there that shouldn't be in there,
Yeah.
You hate to have teams like that take a spot
from another team that should be in there. Because the NFC arguably has the 3 best teams in the league right now. Maybe, the Lions just lost, but Cowboys, Niners, Eagles.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs, you've got some decent teams like the Chiefs, Dolphins, Ravens are all, frisky and interesting, but I'd put those 3 NFC teams head and shoulders above the AFC right now.
It's going to be a fun playoffs.
Always is. And if you're new to the IDP show, we will be doing NFL playoff IDP rankings. Every year we do a fantasy league for the NFL playoffs. It's a lot of fun. So if you get eliminated here down the home stretch or you get knocked out in your regular season fantasy playoffs, worry not, because there is a second life coming for you in the NFL playoffs with the Playoff Fantasy League. So keep an eye out. The week before the playoffs, we'll drop those rankings and do an episode about it as well. Let's talk about Thanksgiving, Addie. Did you have a good Thanksgiving, Eddie?
I did, yeah. It's fine.
It's fine. Okay. Yeah. So it was a horrible Thanksgiving in the Markham household.
It's the older you get, it's tough eating all that food, man.
It's a lot.
It's tough. It'll you never know how your stomach's going to react to it.
We do so we host my wife's family, and then we have my family on Thursday, her family on Saturday. So we spent all day today just throwing out leftovers. Because, my mother-in-law, God bless her, she helped clean up the kitchen and pack away the leftovers. That generation is every bite of food has to be eaten. Nothing goes to waste, right? They had, I think, parents that grew up in a post-World War II kind of culture where it was nothing goes to waste. I remember my grandmother used to save wrapping paper. She wouldn't rip it open. She'd slice the tape and then unfold it and then fold it back and reuse it. So I think that's the generation our parents grew up with as parents. And so we've got a fridge full of more food than any family of 4 could possibly eat. So today was just the annual tradition of just throwing out leftovers that we know we're never going to get to. But it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's it's great. It is nice to, get to eat like that for a few days. But yeah, it's boy, I felt pretty bad for a full day there.
Yeah.
Just uncomfortable for a full day.
Yeah.
But,
you feel like you have food in your lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah. But, we'll be excited about next year.
That's going to say, it's not going to stop us. It's going to get harder and harder as we approach our 40s, but that's not going to dampen our enthusiasm at all. So let's talk about Packers-Lions first game from that Thanksgiving Day spread. Headline for the Packers, Lucas Van Ness got into double digits for the first time since week 1 with a slightly increased snap share, 33% of snaps, 10.75 points for Lucas Van Ness. But we've got back-to-back down weeks from Quay Walker since returning from injury. He played 100% of snaps, just 7 points on 6 tackles. Should mention, Packers got the 29-22 victory. Shout out Kyle B for that one. Surprise upset victory over the Lions on Thanksgiving. It's good to be a Packers fan. Top 3 for the Packers. We mentioned him just a minute ago. Rashan Gary, 40.55 points on just 51% of snaps, y'all. 7 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery, and 3 QB hits. Jonathan Owen, Simone Biles' husband. We talked about him as a hot waiver pickup. He played very well this game, 27.7 points, 12 tackles, a TFL, a fumble recovery, a defensive touchdown on 100% of snaps. And then Anthony Johnson, I believe, who is a rookie, correct? Is that one of the rookie safeties?
Yes.
Yet Antonio Johnson and Anthony Johnson, I think, right? I remember this from the DB preview with Glosser.
Correct. Very confusing. 2A Johnsons.
2A Johnsons, just making it tough on us. On the Lions side, not really much to be thankful for here. It was a quiet game all around for their IDPs. Jerry Jacobs led the way, 11.75 points. Brian Branch, 11.5. Khalil Dorsey, 9.8. What jumps out to you from Packers-Lions, Addy?
Rashan Gary, I mean, nice to see him have one of these monster weeks, you know. It's one of those deals where you just trust the pressures and the pressure rate. He's got a 16.9% pressure rate this season. So, I mean, even though he hasn't been productive, I think we all were kind of expecting it to come. And, yeah, this is what happens. Also, I wanted to mention Carl Brooks, a guy that's been pretty decent this year, getting some playing time. I think he's their 3rd-round rookie pick from this past draft. But he had 11 points this week. He's had some decent games. He's got 3 sacks on the year. But, I mean, he's been more productive than Lucas Van Ness, you know.
Carl Brooks with a K as well.
Exactly,
So
right.
like that. That's like Karl Malone. He was actually a 6th-round pick.
Oh, wow.
179th overall.
Okay.
So shout out Carl Brooks.
But, yeah, they had Carl Brooks, Colby Wooden's there as well. So they've got a lot of these young guys that are getting, you know, some minutes. But
So worry you at all about Lucas Van Ness that he's being
I don't think so.
outproduced?
I think we kind of expected him to take a little bit of time. You know,
he needed some seasoning.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's move to the second game. Cowboys blow out the Commanders. This got Jack Del Rio fired. I think it's going to get Ron Rivera fired, according to the reports coming out today from Jay Glazer and others. Saw an interesting scenario, Addy, that was that Robert Kraft, owner of the Patriots, wants to sort of bring the franchise up to like modern times, modernize the franchise, I think was the phrase they use. And, the Patriots are terrible this year. So the situation I saw was the Patriots trading away Bill Belichick to like the Commanders or the Panthers or one of these other teams, the Raiders, that's going to have an opening. And then Vrabel, who's a little disenchanted with the GM head coach setup there in Tennessee, could try to force his way out of Tennessee and go to New England as the new head coach there.
Wow, that's be very juicy.
I was going to say some juicy off-season drama. So
I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot that has to happen.
That's a lot that has to happen. But stranger things have happened.
Sure.
We saw Sean Payton get traded this offseason.
Yeah.
It's not often coaches get traded, but it does happen.
Yeah.
I think he went for a first.
I feel like that'd be a bad move for Washington to get Belichick. It's like that team doesn't.
that
doesn't
owner
need Bill there.
That owner wants a marquee name at head coach. I think like a proven winner. Here's the messaging. I'm just telling you right now. We have one of the most successful head coaches of all time. I think he's the 2nd winningest head coach. Up there in terms of total Super Bowls. Made the Patriot way with Tom Brady. Like it's all lining up to where it's like the Commanders are respectable. Damn it! Like we've got Bill Belichick now, and it's like they still finish, 6-11.
They're getting a quarterback in this next draft.
Well, they believe in Sam Howell apparently, so good luck with that.
Yeah, I mean, why?
I don't know. It's like guys, like Sam Howell's kind of fun for like a backup. Like I would love to have Sam Howell as my backup as my starter. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that.
Fun for fantasy.
But very fun for fantasy because the dude loves to sling it. Loves to throw picks, though. And shout out Johnny for one of the calls of the year. This reminded me of the Sigmund Bloom, Marcus Jones shout out on our Bloom 100 draft preview, where Johnny basically said, hey, Deron Bland, he's one away from the pick 6 record. He could do it this week. He's got Sam Howell, loves to sling it, makes a lot of mistakes, bad quarterback. What do you know? Deron Bland breaks the pick 6 season record. Also, for the Cowboys, Damone Clark seems to be the LB2 roster in Dallas. I don't know if I even mentioned the score of this game. 45-10, Cowboys beat the Commanders. Deron Bland led the way, 33.3 points, 10 tackles, the pick 6, the PD, 90% of snaps. Damone Clark, 83% of snaps, 13.25 points, 9 tackles, and a TFL. Jonathan Hankins was number 2 with 23.75, and then Micah Parsons, 20.8 points this game, 20.09 points per game average the last 5 games, so he's right on track. 3 tackles, a TFL, a sack and a half, and 3 QB hits on 82% of snaps. Let's look at the Commanders as well, Addy. This performance was so bad from the Commanders' defense that it got Jack Del Rio fired. But the bright spot for IDP, Cody Barton, back to that 100% of snaps roll, 9.5 points, 6 tackles, and a TFL. The scores were down across the board, though, for the Commanders. This is one of those wonky games. We see this happen from time to time. Deron Payne led the way with 13.75 points. Percy Butler was second with 13. Jamin Davis, 9.5, 76% of snaps. So he's back to that LB2 role. Let's start there, Addy. Cody Barton, back to 100%. Jamin Davis, the LB2. That's notable moving forward as we approach the fantasy playoffs.
Yep, just the way it was before.
Yep.
Barton got hurt. Mayo back to the fridge, so he's out of here. Pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Good.
I got to give you that one.
Also, Cameron Curl, let's give him a little shout out here. Averaging 8.6 points per game over his last 4.
Jalen gets hurt, so he lashes out now.
Hate to see it.
That's how this thing goes. I'm going to have Jake send us his Cam Curl jersey for the wall here.
That Washington team, though, man, they are boring. They are boring, especially now without Chase Young and Montez Sweat.
It's almost like your defense got worse after you traded away your 2 best defensive players.
And I think that group's probably pretty uninspired. I mean, the Casey Two Hills and those types are probably getting after it and excited to be out there.
I'm trying to win a job, and the other guys are like, screw this.
But listen, you just kind of stink, bro. So, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just an awful team right now. Not fun to watch.
Not fun to watch. Cowboys are fun to watch. Now, Damone Clark is the linebacker who seems to be getting the lion's share of the snaps, but Shaq Leonard scheduled visit this week with the Cowboys. Eagles have interest as well. I could see a team like the Steelers making a run at Shaq Leonard. So it definitely muddies the water if Shaq comes into this Cowboys linebacker room.
Yeah, would definitely muddy the water. Marquise Bell has been getting a healthy amount of snaps. I think he was up over 90% again this week or close to it.
Yeah, I'll check on that.
So yeah, I think that Shaq Leonard would probably bump him out of the way if he came in.
I think so too.
It just feels like he'd be a nice little fit there in Dallas. That defense is already so good. They could. I don't think that his weaknesses would be too glaring there for him. So I would like that fit kind of. I also wanted to note Deron Bland now after his 5th pick 6 of the year. He is now the DB1 in points per game and total points in Big 3 scoring.
Congrats. Hell of a season. Reminds me of the Trayvon Diggs season, honestly.
Yeah.
Not as many pick 6s, but
right.
Propped up by interceptions largely.
Yeah. 18.3 points per game this year for Deron Bland.
Wow. Congrats, Deron. So, yes, it looks like Marquise Bell played about 77% of snaps against Washington. So it was
That's good.
Damone Clark, 1 at 83%, Bell, 2nd at about 77%. I could see Shaq Leonard, if he were to sign somewhere like Dallas, Damone Clark remains the 3-down guy, or as close to it as we're going to get, and then Shaq is that sort of 1st and 2nd down, like he was with the Colts. I just don't think a team is going to put Shaq Leonard out there for all 3 downs. I just don't see it. Yep. 60 to 70% of snaps? Yeah, for sure. I think he'll help an NFL team more than he's going to help your IDP squads. I think it just might be Jover for Shaq Leonard. Sad as that is to say.
So weird, though, about Shaq coming back to that game.
Yeah, Shaq, let that be the last time that you come to a Colts game, because it's just like guy who graduated high school but still wearing the Letterman jacket, going to games. Like,
Just a weird look.
yeah. I guess, so, as somebody said, he paid for that suite, damn it, and he's going to use it. So I get that as well. Like, I don't have anything else to do. My visits aren't scheduled till this week. I'm still in Indy. I paid for this booth or this suite, so I might as well use it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Those suites are sick, so I wouldn't blame him. But maybe just watch at home.
Just would feel a little tense. I don't
A
know.
little bit. But maybe Jim Irsay was like really forcing the issue, and he's like, let me just do this and get this over with so Irsay will get off my back. Last game of Thursday, though, Addy, was 49ers romping the Seahawks 31-13. 49ers headline, Chase Young was relegated to a situational role. Meanwhile, Jair Brown had all the opportunity with Talanoa Hufanga on IR with a knee injury. Chase Young, 0 points. It says here, just pure cardio. No stats. 46% of snaps. Jair Brown, 100% of snaps. 3.5 points, 4 tackles. Top 3 for the Niners. Nick Bosa, 5 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, 5 QB hits. 88% of snaps, 32.9 points. Javon Hargrave, 21.8 points. On 71% of snaps, he had 7 tackles, a TFL, a sack and a half, and 2 QB hits. And then Charvarius Ward, 17.25 points. He had 5 tackles and 3 PDs on 93% of snaps. Over on the Seahawks side, we commented last week on the fact he'd been quiet in back-to-back weeks. Then Brooks exploded this week with a 30-point game. Of course, propped up by a pick 6 of his own. 29.7 points. He'd been averaging 14.68 the last 5 games. 12 tackles, the pick 6, a PD. 88% of snaps, so good to see him ticking back up. Darrell Taylor was second, 13.35. And then Devon Witherspoon, 12.75, 5 tackles, a TFL, and a PD. Addy, this was not much of a game, but some interesting stuff here to chew on for IDP.
Yeah, Witherspoon continues to just be a stud for us. I mean, someone you can't get out of your lineup, especially in those sleeper leagues, you know. I mean, I feel like he's got to be a top 15 DB option for you every single week.
Agreed.
He's averaging 18.1 points per game this year. That's second among all defensive backs behind,
Deron
of course, Deron Bland.
Yes, sir.
What do we do we know the snap percentages on Jaelan Love?
I can look it up.
It would be nice to know that because, you know, with Jamal Adams being back, he was kind of in like a 50% role when they were both healthy and playing.
Yeah, so it looks like, let's find old Julian Love here. Mr. Love, where are you at? The one thing I will say on the 49er side, I spent up to get Jair Brown in our main Dynasty League. I put in bigger waiver claims on him and Yaya Diaby as kind of like stashes for next season. And not the necessarily the production or performance that you wanted, but 100% of snaps. I mean, that's encouraging. A late season ACL tear kind of makes me wonder if Brown will have a shot at this role potentially, you know, going into next season, depending on how Hufanga recovers.
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know. I'm not too excited about him. We haven't really seen any safety be productive there in San Francisco in a while.
Yep.
You know,
outside of like some spike weeks from Hufanga.
Hufanga's had some solid weeks, sure, but yeah, it's. I think it's just tough. You know, you got those really good linebackers in front of you, and then just the way they're used like that. I don't think it's really great for IDP production.
Yeah. So Julian Love, this is interesting. Last week against the Rams, 100% of snaps. This past week against the 49ers, 91% of snaps. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, who knows?
They're jacking with us, I think, because we're like, oh no, it's not a 3 safety look anymore. It's just Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams. Now the last 2 weeks, it's absolutely Julian Love is relevant. So.
And they did get their doors blown off. So I mean, who knows?
Who knows what they were doing?
How much you want to read into that? You know?
Yes, you always want to just take these blowout victories with a grain of salt in terms of what happens in the game, because this is not what's going to happen every game, and game plans change when you're getting your doors blown off.
Boye Mafe has cooled off quite a bit. I'd say a lot of people just started to get to where they're kind of trusting Boye, and then he's delivered some stinkers.
Yeah, he's
the
just
last 3 weeks, 2 weeks,
taking a big old dump right
2
in the middle
weeks.
of your bed.
2.5 this week and 4 points last week.
Boy, that's fun. Welcome to IDP, folks. Sometimes
That's how it be, folks.
players cool off or players heat up, like Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa, right.
yeah.
17% pressure rate. Everyone take a deep breath.
Everyone just breathe. Everyone just breathe. Black Friday game, another blowout. We had some good possibilities in terms of matchups on paper, but turns out Tim Boyle, who was awful in college, awful in the pros, was awful in this game. Dolphins win 34-13. Headline for the Dolphins, it was Black Friday indeed. We mentioned as we lost Jaelan Phillips from our lineups, and Javon Holland is in doubt moving forward. That sucks. We'll talk about him in just a second. At linebacker, their playing time is very similar, but Jerome Baker is making the most of his opportunities, while David Long is not. David Long, 67% of snaps, 6.5 points, just 7.35 points per game average the last 5 games. Jerome Baker, 24.6 points, 6 tackles, a TFL, a pick, 2 PDs, 71% of snaps. Oh, that hurts my heart just to read that. Top 3 for the Dolphins. Javon Holland, 32.15 points. The insane Hail Mary pick 6. When have you ever seen that before in your life? 5 tackles, a PD. Aaron has it here. The hell, as in heaven and hell, Mary pick 6. It was a 99-yard return for a touchdown, 21.9 points in our XFFL RSO league. This is why you play IDP, folks. Where else in offensive fantasy football are you getting a 22-point play? You're not.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So just a...
Wish it wasn't against me.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But,
in your face.
But congrats.
Thank you very much.
Very, very cool.
He's not been great. I mean, I had him in there just because I traded away Antoine Winfield to Bobo.
Yeah.
And I have Minka Fitzpatrick, Sidney Brown. So it was rolling out Cam Curl, Javon Holland. Only 7 points per game average the last 5 games from Holland. This one was obviously boosted. I mean, 5 tackles and a PD is a fine game, but
he was great that first month, though. But yeah,
he was
definitely cooled off. But this is what Javon Holland does. This is why we like Javon Holland, because he's a playmaker and he makes big plays. He has these big splash weeks. He does this. He's done this every single year of his career. So yeah, we just need him to be a little bit more consistent.
A little bit more consistent would be great, man. Jaelan Phillips had such a good game before the Achilles. 4 tackles, 3 TFLs, a sack, a PD, 2 QB hits, 26.7 points. Christian Wilkins also feasting 25.35 points. He's been averaging about 15 per game the last 5 games. Jaelan was averaging about 19 the last 5 games. So sad. 3 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, 2 QB hits on 64% of snaps for Wilkins. Let's pause there, Addy. Just pour one out for Jaelan Phillips. I'll give you the floor to do the eulogy for the 2023 season for Jaelan Phillips.
He was great. And, he showed why we have been so excited about Jaelan Phillips for the past 2 years, I guess, but this was always, a concern with Jaelan Phillips, not the Achilles, but just the injury risk. And now he has an Achilles injury on top of the back and the neck and the concussions. All that stuff was already there. So, I mean, this is just such a brutal blow. And it's just a shame. I mean, he was, probably about to start getting some talk, about maybe like defensive player of the year type stuff. If he hadn't missed time, I think we definitely would have been hearing that. But, I mean, this guy was really starting to tear it up. This team was poised. They still are poised to be, someone that, make a deep run into the playoffs. So
I just thought they have the in-season Hard Knocks this year, and this week's episode is going to be about Jaelan popping that Achilles.
That's tough, and I'm sure he was crushing it on that show.
Oh yeah, of course. The first week was really focused on Tyreek. My guess is they'll probably change out who they kind of spotlight and focus on. I'm sure he'll be the focus of episode number 2.
It's just such a shame. And I mean, I guess we got to talk about the dynasty value and kind of what you think about him going forward. Are you going to be buying Jaelan Phillips at this point?
Yes, absolutely.
What
if someone
you,
is, let's see.
And I guess it's got to, these are obviously going to be leagues where they're big play leagues.
Yes.
You're heavily rewarded for sacks.
Absolutely.
Maybe QB hits, hopefully QB hits. hopefully it's Big Three scoring. Check it out on the IDPshow.com.
Yes.
But yeah, you guys know the drill at this point. Are you going to be paying what I'd say a second?
So that was the price I had in mind. I would happily pay a second for Jaelan Phillips. Now it's context specific. Am I loaded at edge or defensive end? I'm not going to go spend a second if my group is like stacked. But if I got like me right now, rebuilding team, I've got some decent options. I've got Jermaine Johnson. I've got Sam Williams. Quiddy Pay is in there as well. So I've got some like decent edge options.
I'd like to have a Phillips, I think, out of that group.
Yes, right? I'd love to add a Jaelan Phillips to that group.
I would love to see a list of edge rushers that have torn their Achilles, though, and just how they have responded from it. Because off the top of the head, the ones I'm thinking of, like Carl Lawson.
I was going to say Carl Lawson.
Not good at
yeah.
all.
Well, a little older, I think.
Definitely older. Definitely not the same type athlete as Jaelan Phillips. I mean, you got to remember Jaelan Phillips is like I think a 9.87 RAS, like player profiler has him comped to like Daniil Hunter, like an elite level athlete is what Jaelan Phillips is. So I mean, we think he can recover. Like if anyone can, it would be someone like Jaelan Phillips. But I would love to see just a list of edge rushers that have torn their Achilles, especially like young edge rushers. Hopefully that list, those guys bounce back, but
I don't know, man.
This is a scary injury, especially for, that position because they rely so much on their burst.
Yep, they get
and
off.
Getting off the line. I mean, it was clear with a player like Jaelan Phillips, like this guy is special at that. That's why he is so good at what he does because his burst is elite. And you just hope it doesn't affect him much moving forward. It definitely will. I don't think he's going to be better because
I don't think you come back to like pre-injury with something like an Achilles.
Yeah. But he was already so good, 90% Jaelan Phillips is still better than most.
Yeah. Now it is an expensive roll of the dice because what does he look like? When does he get back? What does this team do in the interim if like Jaelan Phillips isn't healthy?
He'll get back next year. He'll
be back next year. Is it like a Halloween return?
I think so. I don't know, but we're seeing Aaron Rodgers do his dumb shit right now,
I was going to say, hopefully Jaelan is not picking up Aaron Rodgers' phone calls.
Yeah, probably like week 8 next season, but I'm fine with that. You know?
Totally.
But
pop him in after the playoff run.
And I guess in the short term, this is going to boost Andrew Van Ginkel.
Yes.
The boy AVG, stand up. Emmanuel Ogbah had 2 sacks this past week, so he's going to definitely get more opportunity now. Bradley Chubb's going to need to shoulder more of a load. He's been kind of quiet as of late. Christian Wilkins has been awesome this year.
Yeah, I think the answer is just Christian Wilkins.
He's been great.
That's the answer for me. Well, let's move on to the Jets side of things. Bryce Huff, who is one of our favorite stashes, going to get a nice little under-the-radar deal, we think, in free agency next year. Hopefully a bigger opportunity. He got a sack after a quiet couple of weeks, but peep the future schedule through the playoffs for fantasy: Atlanta, Houston, Miami, Washington, Cleveland. Cleveland, DTR concussion protocol. They're back to PJ Walker. So let's talk about the quarterbacks here.
Shoo, he got lit up,
dude,
boy.
That was one of the hardest hits I've seen this season.
I think that was it.
Absolutely smacked. Should not have been a penalty.
Yeah, I saw that.
Shoulder. He was already kind of in the lunge when the ball was released. So it wasn't like he took a step or two and then crushed DTR. It's like, I get we want to protect the quarterbacks, but that's not a penalty.
Yeah.
It just looks bad because
that's just football right there.
He's just a small guy getting just his head absolutely blown off.
He knew what he was doing playing this game.
I just don't like it. I mean, that was a good play by Baron Browning. But
that was sick.
Yeah, so who knows if it's PJ Walker? It should be DTR by that point. I think he'll be back. But you got Desmond Ridder, CJ Stroud, Tua Tagovailoa, Sam Howell, who just literally eats sacks for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then DTR/PJ Walker. So could be a nice stretch for Bryce Huff. Now, just 49% of snaps, so keep that in mind. But
yeah,
even if you don't want to play him at any point this season, stash him in your dynasty leagues. I can't recommend that highly enough. Top 3 for the Jets this game: C.J. Mosley, 22 points, 100% of snaps, 14 tackles, a TFL, and a PD. DJ Reed, awesome game. Johnny called him out in the cornerback corner podcast episode. Make sure you're checking that out in the after show feed. 21.5 points, 10 tackles, a pick, a PD. And then Brandon Eccles, 51% of snaps, 21 points, 2 tackles, a pick, a defensive touchdown. Addy, anything from the Jets side of things that you want to draw attention to?
Maybe we can expect to see more of Will McDonald down the stretch. He has been getting a little bit more run as of late, and he has been flashing a little bit. So, positive and encouraging signs, I think, for Will McDonald. Bryce Huff, we like to keep track with the pressure rate. It's down. It's down a little bit, 23.9%.
Down to 23.9%, you said?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Also wanted to just quick little note, forgot to touch on when we were discussing Cowboys. Dante Fowler's been really, really good this year from a pressure standpoint. 23.4% pressure rate this year for Fowler.
Wow, Dante, look at you.
I know. He doesn't get much opportunity there because, there's 6 or 7 solid pass rushers.
Yes, truly.
He's going to be a free agent. Maybe he could get a shot somewhere like a Jerry Hughes type late career surge.
Yeah, I can see that. 2 years, $12-14 million deal, something like that.
Yeah,
some nice scratch for a late career Dante Fowler.
We can get some 600, 700 snaps at the next stop. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I think he joins this group of like Jadeveon Clowney, Cal Van Noy, right? These kind of like mercenary types.
Like he'd be good to in Baltimore.
In Baltimore, he'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Just dial him up next offseason when Clowney and Van Noy are gone. But yeah, Jets, especially if the season keeps swirling the toilet, they're going with Tim Boyle again for some reason. If the season keeps circling the drain, I could see them wanting to get some of these rookies some run. So let's move to the Sunday slate. Addy,
it's gonna keep circling.
Yeah,
baby.
I was gonna say that turd is already halfway down the hole. It's not coming back up at this point.
Sure.
Sunday slate, heartbreaking loss for the Texans. I think it was a 59-yard field goal doinked off the crossbar. So just like another foot or two, and this guy's got it. Headline for the Texans. So Jags win 24-21. Headline for the Texans, Jalen Petre puts together another double-digit game, yet he's still to reach the lofty ceiling shown in his rookie season. Just 8.7 average the last 5 games, 12 and a quarter this week, 9 tackles at TFL. Top 3 for the Texans, Derek Stingley was back. Cornerback, 21.15 points, 5 tackles, a pick, 2 PDs. Christian Harris, I'm going to pull up the linebacker snaps because I think it was him and Blake Cashman as the 2 almost every down linebackers, but I'll pull up John's tweet and give you all the details. 17.5 points, 12 tackles, a TFL and a QB hit. And then Steven Nelson, cornerback, 15 points, 6 tackles, 2 PDs. Jaguars, the contract year narrative is alive and well with Josh Allen as he's on pace for 18.5 sacks this season. He currently has 12 in 11 games. He had 2.5 sacks in this game to go along with 5 tackles, 2 TFLs, and 4 QB hits. 35.4 points for Josh Allen. Addy, this is kind of interesting. Devin Lloyd was the second leading scorer, 16 points. 13.8 average the last 5 games, 8 tackles, a TFL, and a PD. And then Foyce Aluakin, 13.5 with 12 tackles. Devin Lloyd, quietly been a usable little linebacker for us since he came back from injury.
Very usable, yeah. I mean, this was would you say 16 points this week?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I mean, last week was a solid one. I think it was like in that same range. But yeah, I mean, he's been really good for us this year. Definitely like a LB2, LB3 type. Foye, another solid week. This was a really, really fun game.
Yes, it was.
Josh Allen, though, like you mentioned, I mean, he's about to get a really, really big bag. Probably bigger than Rashan Gary and Montez Sweat,
I
I'd
think
say.
so. I think so. Because he's going to make it to the open market, I think.
Oh, you do?
I think he may be playing himself out of the Jaguars' pocketbook.
Can they tag him, though?
They could tag him, yeah.
They're going to tag him.
Yeah, I could see that.
They let him leave.
I don't know who else they have on the block that could be a potential tag candidate, but
It ain't Josh Allen.
That would make the most sense.
Yeah. Trayvon Walker, I think, got a half a sack today.
It was with Josh Allen.
Yep.
So let's give the Texans linebackers Christian Harris, Blake Cashman, 97% of snaps.
Mm-hmm.
Henry To'o was down at 33%.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Stingley, another 21-point game. He had a 20-point game last week, so he's been pretty good since returning from injury, so love to see that.
Yeah, the whole Sauce Gardner versus Derek Stingley, oh, God, the Texans have egg on their face taking Stingley over Sauce. It's like, just give these guys some time, man. I think Stingley's going to be really good in his own right. Sauce is obviously great already, but I think Stingley's going to start turning it around here. And, I mean, he was, what, a third overall pick? I know, right? Third overall pick?
Yeah.
So just have some patience, people.
Yep.
So Steelers get the 16-10. This is the most Steelers season I have literally ever seen. Bengals led by, who is that character that's filling in for Joe Burrow? Jake something. Do you remember this guy's name?
Browning.
There you go. Jake Browning.
Sure.
That's why not?
Fitting name.
Yes, a lot of brown in the pants after this game.
A lot of Browning going on.
Yeah. Steelers headline, Addy spoke it into existence last week. Cam Hayward with his first appearance of the season in the top 3 scorers. Trenton Thompson has been a strong fill-in for an injured Minkah Fitzpatrick these last 2 weeks. Once again, TJ Watt atop the list of scorers for the Steelers, 28.75 points, 5 tackles, a TFL, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, 2 QB hits, 19.67 points per game the last 5 games. Mentioned Trenton Thompson, 16.85 points, 6 tackles, a pick, a PD. And then Cam Hayward, 15.1 points, 4 tackles, a TFL, a sack, and a QB hit. Let's move to the Bengals side of things. It's only taken 8 weeks, but we got another Myles Murphy sighting as he notches his first sack since week 4. 3 tackles, a TFL, a sack, and a QB hit. 12.95 points. Top 3 for the Bengals. DJ Turner, cornerback, 19.55 points. Mike Hilton, cornerback, 8 tackles, 2 TFLs, a QB hit. And then Trey Hendrickson, doing the Lord's work, blue-collar, lunch pail guy, 13.3 points, 2 tackles, a TFL, a sack. He's been averaging about 13.46. Anything you want to chat about from Steelers-Bengals, Addy?
Yeah, so Hendrickson on, let's see, that gives him 10.5 sacks on the season now. So amazing season for Trey Hendrickson. Sam Hubbard, good seeing him back. He returned after missing the last 2. Logan Wilson suffered an ankle injury in this one. Severity is unknown, according to Zach Taylor. Jordan Battle has 19 total tackles over the last 2 weeks since becoming the starting safety. No Cam Taylor-Britt in this one. Also wanted to point out Mike Hilton is averaging 14.6 points per game since week 9. That is 22nd among all DBs over that span.
Okay, Mike Hilton. I see you.
Yep.
So
slot corner.
What does this do now for the Bengals, though? I mean, we're in week 12, so you got, what, like 6 games left or so? I mean, are they going to win 2 games the rest of the season? So It's like, what does this defense look like? Do certain guys get more run? Like, do we start seeing more Myles Murphy?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would hope so.
This is the time of year when you need to start paying attention to how teams are doing relative to the other teams in their division because, you know, certain teams may be looking to the future, maybe looking to get young guys on the field, get them some playing time. This is especially relevant. Johnny talks about this all the time with cornerback. So pay attention to the DB side of things, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little more Myles Murphy. Maybe they take their time getting Logan Wilson back out there, let Jermaine Pratt get some run. We know he can hold down the middle of that defense.
Akeem Davis-Gaither would be another guy that probably get a larger snap share. So, yeah, you gotta stay active, man.
Yep.
Stay up with the news. That's how all this stuff works in IDP.
That's right. Next game, Giants. And Tommy DeVito beat Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, who were switching between Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. Oh, man. It's just a sad, sad season for the Patriots. You really do hate to see it. Giants headline, Kayvon notches his 11th sack of the season. Interesting exercise from Arn here. Rank the Tier 2 edge guys for Dynasty. Kayvon, Hutchinson, Will Anderson. It's a good group right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's let's see how I have them.
I would probably go Hutch, Kayvon, Anderson, I think is how I would have it. I think Kayvon's been a little more productive this year. Aiden's not quite had the sack luck. I think they were talking about that on the rankings episode with Jace and Tom this week, that Aiden's like close to leading the league in terms of like being unlucky with pressure to sack conversion rate.
Oh, yeah. I have it Aiden, Will Anderson, Kayvon. But, I mean, literally it's 6, 7, and 8.
There you go. So flip a coin.
Yeah, we'll have to bump Jaelan down a little bit.
Oh, don't do it. Just leave him there out of respect.
That is so sad. Yeah, so we're gonna be bumping up Brian Burns. We're gonna be bumping up Josh Allen, Jaelan Phillips, or Rashan Gary. Who you think there?
Man, I
It's
mean,
tough.
for Dynasty, still Jaelan Phillips.
Yeah,
I'm not giving up hope. I'm not
it's
giving
tough.
up hope.
It's tough.
Achilles, if it
especially
was-
especially when it's tough when Gary's coming off like a huge 40-point week.
I know, it is. And he's going to be playing sooner than Jaelan is. So there's something to be said for availability sooner rather than later, even in Dynasty where we look at longer time horizons. So, Kayvon has been averaging about 20.5 points per game over the last 5 games. 5 tackles, 2 TFLs, half a sack, and a forced fumble in this one, 18.25 points. Top 3, though, for the Giants. They had themselves a nice little week from an IDP standpoint. Bobby Okereke, 29 points, 8 tackles, a pick, 2 PDs, 55 return yards, 16-point per game average the last 5 games. Xavier McKinney, 25.3 points, 10 tackles, a pick, 2 PDs. And then Jihad Ward, defensive line, 19.95 points, about 13-point per game average the last 5 games for Ward. 5 tackles, a TFL, a sack and a half, 2 QB hits. On the Patriots side, one for the future young D lineman taken in the 2nd round by the Patriots. Keon White records his first sack of his career. Could be the future Josh Uche replacement, depending on if they re-sign this guy or tag him this coming offseason. I think he'll probably hit free agency and get a nice little deal somewhere. Keon White, 16.15 points, 5 tackles, a TFL, a sack, and a QB hit. Top 3 for the Pats, Anthony Jennings, 19.5 points, 4 tackles, a TFL, a sack and a half, and 2 QB hits. Christian Barmore, 17.25 points, 3 tackles, a TFL, a sack, a PD, QB hit. And Jabril Peppers be hot, 16.95 points, 3 tackles, a TFL, a sack, fumble recovery, and a QB hit. Addy, where do you want to start with Giants Patriots?
I mean, Peppers continues to be really good, man.
I was going to say not bad, averaging about 13.3 points per game the last 5 games. That's a usable safety for IDP, folks.
Absolutely. Also want to give our boy Joey the Tooth a shout out for the Anthony Jennings call in his streaming DL article. Pretty sure he had Jennings.
Yeah, I can double check it for you.
He hits about every single week on those things. So, but I'm pretty sure he had Jennings this week. So yeah, great call there. He's been pretty good lately. He's someone that is out there pretty much in every dynasty league that I'm in. I picked him up in quite a few spots this morning. So I was very pleased to see him get 1.5 sacks. Barmore, he's been pretty solid lately.
I was going to say, that's a
nice to see,
nice average.
But yeah, Juwan Bentley was questionable, but he ended up playing. He got a sack, but didn't really do much on the tackle side of things. But I think he still finished like 14 points in Big 3 scoring. So I mean, fine day if you trusted him. But that's really it for the New England side.
Yeah, Anthony Jennings was Joey's first recommendation. So there you go.
Let's go, Joey.
Good shout out, Joey.
Bobby O, just so good this year, man.
Really has been.
A locked in LB1 for you every single week. Xavier McKinney's also been really good as of late. We got to give him some flowers.
25.3 points, about 12 points per game average the last 5 games. A couple usable safeties here between Peppers and Xavier McKinney in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have points per game for linebackers, the leaders? I'm just curious. Maybe not updated through week 12, but through week 11.
I've actually put a lot of week 12 in here.
I'm just curious where Bobby O ranks in terms of points per game.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be up there. We're going to have to give it probably
a couple seconds to
2
load.
or 3 seconds.
Okay.
2 or 3 minutes.
I would say he's at least top 12, I'd
Here we
say.
go. We're good. It's faster than I thought it'd be. 20 points per game, Foye Aluakun. That's number 1. Fred Warner's 18.9. Bobby O, 18.1. Wow. Number 3.
Wow.
Levante David, 17.8. Zaire, 17.3. Quincy Williams, still hanging up there based off his beginning of the season. But he's not been very good the last few weeks. But he's at 17.2 points per game. Terrell Bernard's right below him at 17 points per game. TJ Edwards, Jordan Brooks, Blake Cashman, Logan Wilson, CJ Mosley, Bobby Wagner.
I mean, these are a lot of guys, a lot of names I recognize. I mean,
Jordan Brooks, Alex Anzalone, Robert Spillane. Roquan Smith, 15 points per game this year.
Yeah, down a
Been a
little
little
bit.
quiet lately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Down
know
a
what he
little bit.
did tonight. Well, I guess we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it at the end. Next game up, Panthers, Titans.
Tight ones.
The tight ones get the 17-10 victory. I think the headline after the game was that David Tepper was seen leaving the locker room yelling the F word just out loud. Like a reporter was able to hear it and tweeted about it. And that Frank Reich's seat is white hot. So if and they plan to evaluate him in the offseason, I'm just telling you right now, if they go out and have another stinker, Frank Reich's getting fired in season.
Tepper seems like a hard guy to work for.
Yeah, he seems like a maniac. He really does.
I think it might have been Scott Barrett that tweeted something like, it can't be that hard to be a billionaire if David Tepper is a billionaire.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah, he's just very impatient, just unrealistic expectations. This guy's used to getting everything he wants, and his team's not good. His quarterback's not good. His coach isn't good.
Yeah.
Defense isn't good. And there was a lot of preseason hype around the Panthers, and they're going to be the number 1 overall pick. Oh, wait, except the Bears have that pick.
Yeah. And then all these other, rookie quarterbacks are doing pretty well.
Yep.
C.J. Stroud tearing it up, talk with the league. Anthony Richardson looked like he was going to be a stud for the Colts.
Makes me so sad because what a fun division that would have been. Him and Stroud duking it out.
Oh, yeah. And T-Law.
T-Law in there as well.
That's gonna be ridiculous.
And Levis. Let's give Levis some love as well.
I agree. I mean, I think he's had some great moments in that opening game of him was awesome. So,
Suddenly a very fun division from a quarterback standpoint.
Yeah, but it definitely makes the Bryce Young pick sting a lot more,
I think he'll be fine. I'm going to give him like a Trevor Lawrence year one
too.
type of pass. This team sucks something awful. So let's just be patient. Let's give him some time. Let's get him some better wide receivers than, I don't know, Adam Thielen at 33 years old or whatever.
Right.
So Panthers headline, it's almost like the commentator's curse. Every time we begin to question an elite player, they bounce back the next week, or it's just pure coincidence, as great players won't always have poor showings. We're talking about Brian Burns, 23.1 points this week after about 11.7 points per game average the last 5 games. He had 4 tackles, 2 TFLs, a sack, a PD, and 2 QB hits. Derek Brown, right around his average of about 11 points. The last 5 games went for 11.75 in this one, 5 tackles, a TFL, and a PD. Troy Hill, cornerback, 7.75 points. On the Titans side, boy, were they feasting on poor little Bryce Young. The Titans D-line, Danico Autry led the way, 28.45 points. 3 tackles, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks, 2 QB hits. Jeffrey Simmons, 26.15. 5 tackles, 3 TFLs, a sack, a fumble recovery, a QB hit. And then Arden Key coming back from the dead, hand out of the ground, zombie style. 16.3 points, 2 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, and 2 QB hits. Jeffrey Simmons, Addy, has been not too shabby the last 5 games, 14.47 average the last 5 games. Danico Autry, sneaky, nice DN2-3 option for you, averaging about 12 points per game the last 5 games. So what strikes your fancy here from this awful, horrible game?
Yeah, I think Autry has 9 sacks on the season now.
Does he really?
I'm pretty sure he does.
God, another one of these guys that just like pops up, just stinky but respectable veterans that just clock in and clock out.
Right, yep. They know what to do, man.
They do indeed.
13.1 points per game on the season for Danico Autry. Actually, no, it's going to be more than that because I don't have this. I don't have this week put in here yet. So, yeah, Danico Autry's having a great year. Like you mentioned, Jeffrey Simmons, he's awesome. We kind of expected this type of step. We expected him to take this type of step this season, and we talked about it a lot this offseason, that we thought that he could get to a level where he's averaging like 14, 15 points per game. That's what he's been doing here lately. So, nice to see Arden Key, not make me look so dumb. I was a little excited.
We all were excited. I mean, this was a good fit.
And he's not been bad. I mean, he's got like a 10% pressure rate. So, I mean, it's not like he's, the worst player out there. But, and I think he still does have this gives him like 3.5 sacks. So he could finish strong here. And
never know.
You never know. You never know. Harold Landry, what did he do this week? Do you have that there?
Didn't crack the top 3.
So I mean, but it's just nice seeing him kind of back out there and healthy and all that stuff. But yeah, this is a fun, defensive line for the Titans. It's just, where's this team going to be going this year? Probably not too far.
6-11.
Yeah.
7-10 maybe.
But I think that they're going to be, keeping these starters in. There's not really much behind
Mike
them.
Vrabel does not tank. He is
Right.
not a guy that's going to roll out the young guys or whatever. Now, he did start Will Levis, but I think that's just because Ryan
I think
Tannehill's
he's better than
incredibly
Tannehill.
washed at this point.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next game and talk about the Falcons getting the 24-15 victory. Saints headline, the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, turned back the clock to original Honey Badger form with a multiple turnover game. Paulson Adebo, Demario Davis finally come back down to earth. Paulson Adebo had been averaging 20.39 points per game the last 5 games, just 5 points in this one, 4 tackles. Demario Davis had been in fuego, 19.22 points per game average the last 5 games, just 6.5 points in this one, 6 tackles. Top 3 for the Saints, we mentioned it. Mathieu, 28.6 points, 3 tackles, 2 picks, 2 PDs, a QB hit. Marcus May, safety, 14.5 points, 8 tackles, 2 TFLs, and Carl Granderson, 9.5 points with 10 tackles. Over on the Falcons side, another second-year edge rusher is slowly starting to put it together. Arnold Ebiketie has 4.5 sacks in his last 6 games. And we mentioned Jessie Bates joining the Elite Seekers with a 41.7 point performance, 12 tackles, an INT, a forced fumble, a defensive touchdown, a PD, 92 return yards. Caden Ellis, 16.5 points, 6 tackles, 2 TFLs, a PD, and then Arnold Ebiketie, 12.05 points, 2 tackles, a sack, 8 sack yards, and a QB hit. Wanted to point out quickly, Addy, the Falcons linebacker situation got a little interesting. John literally has the eye roll emoji here. Caden Ellis, 100% of snaps. Nate Landman,
Birdman.
74% of snaps. So Birdman, Landman was down a little bit this week, Addy.
Don't like that.
Don't like that at all.
But, it's not like it was 20%. Still 74%. Hopefully it doesn't get lower than that.
I was going to say, that's kind of worrisome. 74 is kind of close to like getting into the 60s there.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to have to monitor it, though,
Yep.
guys.
Keep an eye out.
Hopefully it's back
They
up
won
this next week.
You know? So it's like, I always worry when things happen that we don't like for IDP, but the team wins.
You
And
setting
it's like-
them down this next week if you got them?
No, I don't think so.
Just going to roll them out
I'm
there.
going to roll him out there. Because of the body of work, I'm not going to let one blip scare me off. This guy's been really good so far this year.
Yeah. And the PFF grades have been really, really good for him,
Yep.
too. So, yeah, maybe just a one-off type deal.
This week, though, it was
Birdman.
Birdman dropping
Yep.
a deuce on your car
Hate to see it.
right after you get it washed. On the Saints side of things, Addy, let's talk about Demario Davis. Cooled down a little bit, but still been red hot here the last 5 games. Almost 20 points per game average.
Yeah, he's always a great option. Tyrann Mathieu.
It's a hard name to say, folks.
This is what I thought he was going to be doing more of this year. I was pretty high on this offseason, so he's been a real bummer this year, but nice to see that he can still make plays.
Still has some gas in the tank.
Yeah. Marcus May, he gave us a good week. No one had him going anywhere.
No one started him anywhere.
Carl Granderson continues to be really solid this year. I saw where what's his face? Cameron Jordan left this game, I think with an ankle injury. No, a shin injury.
Uh-oh. Hopefully not compartment syndrome.
Yeah, hopefully not. But yeah, something involving his shin, so we'll have to monitor that. But he's definitely been a bummer as well this year. But this is usually when he gets hot, so I was hoping to have him for the stretch run. I know I've been optimistic about him turning it around. So
Being optimistic about these old dudes is a dangerous game to play.
it's been pretty good for the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
Got
Got to protect those shins, though. They'll get you every time.
He will.
They will.
Need to get your shin guard.
They do. Get you some soccer shin guards. What do we think about Ebiketie, though? 4.5 sacks.
Pretty good.
Not too bad.
Yeah, I'd kind of given up hope on him. Maybe a little too soon.
I don't think I'm starting this guy, though. I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm not going to chase. We don't have the snap percentages yet.
And he's going to be someone that you're only starting in those sleeper leagues where you start like 4 or 5
Yes.
defensive linemen.
Yes.
Like in the leagues where he's defensive end, and you're only starting 2 defensive ends,
Nope, not doing it.
not interested at all.
Not chasing it. No, thank
You
you. Because, the average has just been 9.5 points per game average the last 5 games. So, no thanks. I'd like to think I can do better than that with my edge starters.
Yeah.
So, let's move to the Colts game. Colts get the 27-20 victory over the Buccaneers. Buccaneers headline, Servassier Dennis continued the Levante David mantle of outscoring Devin White each week. And then Joe Tryon Shoyinka reminded us he's still here, buried somewhere on your dynasty bench. Servassier Dennis, we talked him up with Jason King on the waiver episode as one of the hottest pickups, 11 points, 6 tackles, and a PD. And then Tryon Shoyinka, 12.9 points, 2 tackles, a TFL, a sack, and a QB hit. Top 3 for the Bucs: Carlton Davis, cornerback, 25.8 points, 10 tackles, a pick, 2 PDs. Kalijah Cansey, Eddie, put a pin in that. I want to come back to Cansey, 20.55 points, 10.81 average the last 5 games, 3 tackles, 2 TFLs, a sack, a PD, and a QB hit. Antoine Winfield, 15.5 points, 10 tackles, a PD. Indianapolis. Does Indy have a bona fide star edge rusher or just a bunch of guys you'd love in best ball because you don't want the headaches in redraft? As a Colts fan, I can tell you it is the second option. It is not the first. Kwity Paye, 12.1 points, just 6.85 average the last 5 games. Dayo Odengbo, 8.55 points, 14.17 average the last 5 games. But the star of the show for the edge group in this game was Samson Ebukam, 26.7 points, 4 tackles, a TFL, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, 2 QB hits. Julian Blackmon, been a really solid safety option for you this year, 13.8 average the last 5 games, 16.25 in this game. And then Tyquan Lewis rounds out the top 3 for the Colts, 15.15 points, 2 tackles, a sack, a PD, and 2 QB hits. Let's jump back up to the Bucs. Addie Kalijah Cansey. This guy's getting harder and harder to look away from in dynasty leagues, especially in those D-tackle leagues. He's got to be climbing the dynasty ranks for you, I would think.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's been up there for a while anyway. Basically as soon as he came out, I mean, he had the upside that we look for in these defensive tackles. You know, he's a guy that we think could potentially get 10 sacks in a single season. But yeah, I think right now he's like 11 for me, but yeah,
deep, and that's saying something considering how loaded defensive tackle is right now.
There's some very good defensive tackles out there, yeah. But he just continues to produce. You know, here at the end of the season, they need him to produce, and yeah, I mean, this is exactly what we want from Kalijah Cansey. So, wheels up. You know, love to see it. The pressure rate's been solid. PFF numbers are good. First round pick, great athlete.
Wheels all the way up for
checking
Cansey,
all
man.
the boxes.
One of the rookies you have to feel really good about. Probably on the short list top 5 in terms of like rookie IDPs that you feel good about after their rookie season. Yeah, that'd be a fun exercise. Like, how confident do we feel now in these guys for Dynasty after their rookie season?
Yeah, I think we need to like do a redraft the IDP only.
Yeah, rookie recap type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, look back at the rookies, because Cansey, especially for D tackle, I mean, he's probably number 1. And defensive lineman, hell, he may be number 1 for defensive lineman as well.
Well, you still got Jalen Carter up there.
Jalen Carter's nice as well.
He's pretty good.
Tried to catch the spike. Almost did it too.
Yeah, well, he also
That
had a
dude's
block,
a freak.
didn't he? I think he blocked one of the kicks in the game too.
He's a freak.
You don't get credit for those in ours, so sorry.
Dang it. Why not? We should do that. Servassier Dennis. I'm going to start this guy over Devin White if I've got both until Levante David gets back. White stinks.
He looks cool out there too. I like his drip. He's got the long sleeves. Those dark uniforms are cool anyway.
They are. I do like the pewter.
Yeah.
The dark gray. Very good look for the
sweet.
Bucs.
But yeah, Servassier looks great. I mean, obviously one of the coolest names in the league.
He's up there now.
But
I don't know if Smoke Monday's still in the league, but
I think he is. New Orleans, I believe.
there you go. That's fun.
But yeah, Servassier, I mean, as long as Levante's out, I think you can
Fire him up.
Fire him up as a LB3, LB4.
Yep. I haven't seen the snaps yet. I'll see if Macri has anything.
It was like 90. It was up in the 90% range.
Okay,
so
yeah.
we're
It
good.
was 90% for Dennis, 100% for White. So there you go. I think you're going to be very happy with Dennis moving forward as long as Levante is out. Not chasing Tryon Shoyinka's performance. Carlton Davis is a fine option in cornerback required leagues. Kalijah Cansey, I think, is a top 12 option in defensive tackle required leagues. Winfield remains elite at the safety position. Not trusting any of these Colts edge rushers. Julian Blackmon is a great safety option for you. Let's move to Browns getting stomped by the Broncos, who might be the hottest team in the league right now, Addy. I think they started out
Broncos, yeah,
1-4, 0-5. Like, they were awful to start the year, but have really turned it around here.
Sean Payton's got a system in place now, Josh.
He does. He really does. You love to see it. Myles Garrett, Browns headline. Myles Garrett played through an injury and left the stadium with his arm in a sling. Please, fantasy gods, don't take another Tier 1 player from us. Massive game from Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, also known by his nickname Jay. Okay, now you trust me in your lineups? I'll score under 8 points for the next 3 weeks. But for this week, JOK was no JOKE. 30.4 points, about 10 points per game average. I put that in the headline, so I just had that one in the chamber. About 10 points per game average the last 5 games, 12 tackles, 2 TFLs, a sack, a forced fumble, a QB hit. Greg Newsome was second, cornerback, 11.75, and then just 9.5 from Myles Garrett. Pay attention to that one, folks. 2 tackles, a TFL, and a PD. 25.18 average. Good God, Myles Garrett has been amazing so far this year. Broncos headline, Kareem Jackson was suspended again in the lead up to this week. PJ Locke came through in a big way for anyone who used him as a spot start. He was the leading scorer for the Broncos, 23.65 points, 7 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, a PD, a QB hit. Nick Bonitto, we were throwing dirt on him. 6.3 points per game average the last 5 games, so it wasn't without merit, but had a nice game this week, 23.15 points, 2 tackles, a TFL, a sack and a half, PD, and 3 QB hits. And then Alex Singleton, 16.5 points, averaged about 15 the last 5 games, 10 tackles, a fumble recovery, and a PD. Lot to chew on from this game, Addy, but what's most interesting to you outside of the Myles Garrett injury?
Well, to add on to the Myles Garrett thing, he heard a pop in his shoulder.
Oh, no.
So I don't like that. Don't like that at all. Although my shoulder's been popping lately.
Well, we're old, though.
Yeah.
And we don't take care of ourselves. So everything, my hips will pop. My knees will pop when I stand up out of this chair.
My shoulder's been popping a lot, though. I think it's from golf. It's my left shoulder.
You are an athlete.
I am an athlete.
You are an athlete, as we know.
I am an athlete. So, yeah, let's just all say a prayer for Myles Garrett. Please, God.
Please not Myles Garrett.
Please, God. Let him be okay.
Take my shoulder. It would look really weird on his, like, He-Man body, but if it helps Myles Garrett, here it is.
Yeah. So Zadarius Smith also is just, God, he's been so annoying. He's been in, like, so many great spots. Also, you're opposite of Myles Garrett. Like, you should be doing much better than you're doing, bro. Another stinky game. I think he had, like, 6 points this week. So that's been tough.
Is he droppable at this point? Kind of feels like it.
Yeah, in your leagues where he's a defensive end and you only start 2 defensive ends, that's the larger discussion with IDP right now. I think is in your true position leagues where you start 2 defensive ends. These guys, these defensive ends that are defensive end 24 to whatever 100.
Churn and burn, baby.
Who cares?
Don't hold them.
Who cares? You just basically play the matchups every week instead of you don't want to hold a bunch of those guys.
No.
You just sift through the waiver wire and play whoever has the best matchup.
It's like in our main league, every week I've got some nice, juicy defensive end options out there on waivers. I go to pick up a running back. I'm literally starting Amir Abdullah.
Yep.
Like there's some positional scarcity. Defensive end ain't it if you've made the switch to true position.
Nope.
That thing is rich.
Yeah, right. And now linebacker is the position that's really tough and hard to fill, and it's hard to get deep at, just because there's way less of them now.
Yeah. Speaking of hard to figure out, trusting JOK?
No, hell no.
You don't trust any of these Browns linebackers?
Lord, no. Taki got a larger role with Anthony Walker being out the hamstring, but still, it's going to be hard to trust any of them.
No, I don't trust any of these linebackers.
Yeah.
Nick Bonitto, no thank you, not chasing that. Alex Singleton, yeah, of course. You fire this guy up. I think he's a back-end LB1, top-tier LB2 option for you. Yeah, about 15 points per game average.
Yeah.
That'll play.
But, I do like the Bonito types in the sleeper leagues.
Yes.
the leagues where you start 4 to 5 defensive linemen, like, yes, we will. And also, I think he gets dual designation over there. So, I mean, even
That helps a lot.
Even more sweet, yes.
Next game, Rams 37, Cardinals 14. I think the Rams are one game back from a wild card spot. Whoever would have thought that? I mean, I thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year.
Yeah, we were very wrong about that.
But they have nailed that rookie class. Like, they've gotten some real difference makers from this rookie class. So that helps. If you are devoid of talent, if you hit on some picks, you can make a run at the playoffs. And I think the Rams will be right there in the mix. Headline for the Rams, though you wouldn't know it, from his IDP scoring for the first time since 2016. Aaron Donald is on pace for less than 10 sacks. He's currently tracking for 8.5 on the year. Just 4 points from Donald, 2 QB hits. So if you don't score QB hits, he got you a big fat goose egg this week. 16 point per game average the last 5 games. Top 3 for the Rams. Kobe Turner, defensive lineman, 26.5 points, 4 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, 2 QB hits. Jordan Fuller, safety, 19.25 points, 3 tackles, 4 PDs. Michael Hoyt, 16.45. Michael Hoyt, y'all, 14.27 points per game average the last 5 games. Mr. Hoyt has been pretty good for IDP. 5 tackles, a TFL, a sack, and a QB hit. Cardinals, we'll run through this one quickly. Is Jalen Thompson the safety to roster in Arizona and maybe their only IDP worth stashing with Kaiser White on IR? Jalen Thompson, 19.15 points, averaging about 13.3 the last 5, had 7 tackles, a pick, and a PD. Kytrell Clark, 12.75. Budda Baker, 9.75, averaging just 8.3. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off with the Cardinals. Yuck. No thank you. Stay away. Gross. Ew. I think I hit it all. I think I covered it.
Yeah, Zaven Collins, massive disappointment this year.
Yeah, I mean, even the linebackers we thought could be some sneaky starts. Josh Woods, Chris Barnes. I mean, Budda Baker's number 3 with 9.75 points.
Budda Baker's been bad this year.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, he's kind of playing like scared at this point, I think, or just like I think he's probably making more business decisions, I don't want to say scared. Hope you're not listening, Budda.
He's not. I
didn't mean that.
He's a scared little boy.
I just mean he's he's a vet at this point. He's dealt with injuries. He's dealt with some really scary concussions too. I think he's not as reckless as he was early in his career, which is why we love Budda Baker. He doesn't really play the way he did when he first came into the league, and that's just he's smarter now. But he's also kind of making some business decisions. He wants to stick around. He's not the biggest guy.
Yeah. And he's probably getting cut next offseason.
Yep.
$18.5 million cap hit with just about $4 million in dead cap. So he's going to be looking for a new deal, new team. He doesn't want to pop an ACL, pop an Achilles, and miss out on a big payday.
But I still feel okay about Budda Baker and Dynasty, so I don't think everyone should be freaking out about that. I think he's still going to float around for another 3-4 years, probably.
He's a good player on a bad team, folks.
You'll probably look up next year and he's back inside, the top 5 safeties. So
yep.
I think that's just how this stuff goes. He's just having kind of a down year, not really getting the big plays that he has been getting the last couple of years. So yeah, right now Jalen Thompson is the safety that you want there in Arizona, but I still think I prefer Budda Baker in Dynasty.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
BJ Ojulari, he didn't have a great game this week, but he's still probably one of the best assets there.
I signed him to a 2-year extension in RSO. Just why not? Little $2 million dart throw. I'll take that.
Dante Steele has been pretty good as of late. He's one of their I think he was their 3rd round rookie pick, but like a defensive tackle. He's been pretty solid, getting more run as of late and looking pretty good with it. So but yeah, that's a team that just doesn't have a lot of talent on it.
Not a lot there. Kyler's back. We thought the juice was back, and then they get just absolutely waxed by the Los Angeles Rams of all teams. So what about Michael Hoyt, though?
He's been really good, though.
I was
going
to say, 14.27 points per game average the last 5 games, 16.45 in this game. That's not bad from a guy that we were saying, well, he's really the only one along the defensive line next to Aaron Donald. That's proven to be true again this season.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's got 4 sacks in his last 5 games now since week 7. 32.85 points. Week 8, he had 12.5 points. Week 9, 10 points. Week 11, 10 points. And then week 12, 16.45 points. So, yeah, if you've started some Hoyt the last 5 weeks, man, you're laughing and you're enjoying yourself right now. But I don't think that's probably reality. If you missed out on this goodness here, you probably don't want to chase it. I don't feel like, I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't trust that this is something you can bank on going forward.
He is getting the snaps. That's what
Definitely
gives me
the snaps.
The hope is that, you're not just chasing the sacks, is, the last 4 weeks here. Now we don't have this game, but going back to week 7, 93, 80, 87.5%, 81.5% of snaps.
Yeah.
So not bad. You could do worse, especially if you're hurting with injuries, bye weeks coming up. I think we have another bye-apocalypse looming.
And, he was really strong last year to finish the year. It's not like this is just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, he had, looking back at last year from week 13 on, he had a 27-point game, 18-point game, 13-point game, 16-point game. So, yeah, I mean, he's done this before. I don't know, though. We got to see him do it for longer.
I want to see 3 more years of elite production, Michael Hoyt. Then we will respect
Is
you.
that how we pronounce the name?
Yes,
Hoyt?
I heard it on the broadcast. It is Hoyt. So Michael Hoyt.
They don't know, though, either.
I think they have a pronunciation guide. I think when you announce the games,
So I don't mean nothing to give me all that. It won't matter for me,
Well, they also mispronounce Bobby Okereke. Now, to be fair,
What'd
he
they say?
never corrected. That's what they used to say was Okereke.
And he says, okay.
It's Okereke. But he never corrected them, though. So it's like, if you don't correct us, we just assume we're right. But, well, they got it now. Chiefs Raiders. Chiefs 31, Raiders 17. Chiefs headline, Spags is reminding us that we're lucky to have one usable linebacker and not to get comfortable with number 2 and 3. Evidence for that point here. Leo Chenal, 2 points this week. Willie Gay, 1.25 points. Top 3 for the Chiefs. This is a down week overall. George Karlaftis, 15.05 points. 3 tackles, a TFL, a sack, and a QB hit. Drew Tranquil, 15 points, averaging about 15 points the last 5 games. 8 tackles, 2 TFLs. L'Jarius Sneed, right at his season average, 10.25 points, 10.28 the last 5 games, 9 tackles. Another thing to pay attention to. So you might want to be looking at Michael Hoyt just because Mad Maxx had to exit this game. A little bit of trivia for you. He was the first player in a game to play after being listed as doubtful since week 8 of 2020. He was forced to leave the game, though, against his will by the Raiders coaching staff, monitored the knee situation closely. Top 3 for the Raiders, Big Bob Spillane, 13.25, 11 tackles, and a QB hit. Nate Hobbs, 12.5, 8 tackles, a TFL. Mad Maxx, 11.95, a tackle, a TFL, a sack, and a QB hit. So, let's talk about the linebacker situation in KC. And it seems like it is Drew Tranquil or bust right there, right now.
Yeah, that's all you're starting at this point. We'll see if Nick Bolton comes back, but
I think he'll be.
I haven't checked any.
I'm telling you right now. So the playoffs for fantasy is 15, 16, 17, right?
Yeah,
I think he'll be back like week 16.
That's gonna be a tough situation for people to.
Semifinal teams are gonna be like, do I plug in Nick Bolton? Week 1 back from injury, just sweat and blood.
Don't ask us about Nick Bolton. All right, we don't know.
The answer would be no. I mean, I'm taking the Johnny the Greek approach and just like I'll wait and see. I'm not
probably not starting Drew Tranquil either.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. If Bolton is back, you probably set both these guys down. As much as it sucks because Tranquil's been just fine. Exactly what we expected in relief of Nick Bolton. So.
Karlaftis has been really good this year.
He has indeed.
8 sacks on the season. L'Jarius Sneed had a solid week, giving us 9 tackles. Justin Reed had another solid week. He had 9 tackles as well. Trey McDuffie's been really good this year.
Yes, he
gets a lot of praise on all the broadcasts. But yeah, that's all you're focused on for Kansas City. There's just not a lot of. I guess Chris Jones. We didn't mention Chris Jones. Did he have? He didn't really have a big game today.
Chiefs were down overall. Another kind of not. It wasn't a blowout. I think the Raiders are actually up 14-0 at some point, But then the Chiefs did come back and steamroll them with 31 unanswered, so kind of a bad look for the Raiders. We should mention, going back to the Colts game quickly, I was thinking about linebackers. We talked about Shaq Leonard getting released. If you've been listening to the show this season, you knew that we have been talking about EJ Speed as a guy to stash because whether it was by injury or by a diminishing role, we didn't see it as just an outright release for Shaq Leonard, but we saw EJ Speed as getting the snaps towards the end of the season as we came down towards the fantasy playoffs. This week, with Shaq Leonard out the door, Zaire Franklin 100% of snaps, EJ Speed 95%. So hopefully you had him stashed, and if you did, Hattie, you are reaping the benefits here on this glorious day.
We tried again.
If you speed season, folks, it's inevitable. If you just watch the games, that's what, I'm a Colts fan, so I watch every game, and it's just like, analysts talk about the eye test, and it's like Shaq Leonard was not passing the eye test. EJ Speed was.
Yeah, makes sense. He got released.
Exactly.
Know?
They were going to make him inactive.
Yeah. We're not just saying crazy stuff up here, everybody.
It's like,
we do watch the games.
It's like, boy, Shaq Leonard looks very washed.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It sucks. I mean, injuries just zap this guy's career, but it happens, So Big Bob Spillane, I think he continues to be a top-tier option for you going back to Raiders Chiefs. 16.25 average the last 5 games. Nate Hobbs fired. I mean, Johnny the Greek has a rule. If Nate Hobbs is above ground and breathing, we plug him into our lineups, and he paid off beautifully. Can't you just hear Johnny saying that?
Oh,
yeah. Maxx Crosby, please don't let this injury be serious. We cannot lose both Myles Garrett and Maxx Crosby in the same week. That would be too much to bear.
And Jaelan Phillips.
And Jaelan Phillips. My God, it continues to be an apocalypse for major IDPs this week. Last game from the Sunday slate, the regular Sunday slate, not prime time. Eagles, Bills. This was a hell of a game. A lot of fun. Eagles headline, Zach Cunningham left with injury. Nicholas Morrow made the most of his opportunities. Top 3 for the Eagles, James Bradbury, cornerback, 19.7, 3 tackles, a pick, 5 PDs. Good God, James Bradbury. Nicholas Morrow was number 2, though, 19.5 points, 12 tackles, a TFL, a PD. We were wondering when Kevin Byard was really going to pop. Here we go, 14.25, 13 tackles, but he's been averaging about 12 points per game the last 5 games. I think that's probably about the stretch he's been with the team.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 or 5 games at this point.
I think week 7 is when he came over.
He was a trade deadline, which was Halloween. So we're looking at, that was the 31st. So we're looking at maybe, 4 games at this point. So maybe one of those games was with the Titans. On the Bills side, the edge rusher roulette wheel landed on Gregory Rousseau this week, leaving Epinesa and Floyd managers on the outside looking in. Just 5.25 for Epinesa, 4.75 for Leonard Floyd. But for Greg Rousseau, 16.5 points, 4 tackles, 3 TFLs, and a fumble recovery. Terrell Bernard continues to be very, very good. 15.45 points, 14.56 average the last 5 games, 5 tackles, a pick, a PD. Then Tim Settle, defensive tackle, 11.65, a tackle, a TFL, a sack, and a QB hit. Let's start with the Eagles side of things. So Zach Cunningham goes out. As we all hoped and dreamed, Daddy, Nicholas Morrow is going to be our Eagles linebacker savior headed into the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, you can't get rid of the guy.
He's like a booger. You just can't flick him.
N'Kobe Dean, he's going to be out for who knows how long.
Did he go on IR, or is he still just floating around there as like
not sure,
day-to-day, week-to-week sort of thing?
Not sure. Yeah, check on that. I mean, if N'Kobe Dean is coming back this week, then Morrow's not someone that we can trust. But if Dean is going to be out for a while or is maybe on IR, I mean, I guess it also depends on the seriousness of the Cunningham injury.
Yep.
But Morrow, I mean, he's proved that he can be a really good play, whenever he gets a large snap share. So that's a good play. I saw Fletcher Cox is also
taken off with injury, right?
Yeah, he was out of this game, or ruled out of this game. So, I mean, that'll mean a larger role for probably Milton Williams,
Jalen Carter,
right? Jordan Davis also got banged up for a second, but I think he's okay. he was just tired from trying to chase down.
Chase down Josh Allen.
Yeah, but he did a good job.
He did. I think I saw a highlight where he was, chasing Josh Allen to the sideline.
Yep.
I don't remember what the exact comparison was, but Nate Tice and Robert Mays on the Athletic Football Show, they call Josh Allen Captain Chaos. The way he runs, he's like a cartoon character. Like all his limbs are moving like in a circular motion at once.
That's true.
And it's like you watch Josh Allen, it's like Captain Chaos really is the perfect nickname.
Yeah, and he's very long and like his arms are very long.
Yes.
Got a cannon.
Does absolutely have a cannon. Not afraid to just fling that thing.
One note on Kevin Byard now, 8.4 tackles per game this season. That is number 1 among all defensive backs. He's on pace for 143 tackles.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kevin Byard.
Look
at that.
Very, very good.
That's
in
under the
Philly.
radar. I was not expecting him to be that good.
They got some tackling safeties there in Philly with Reed Blankenship and Kevin Byard.
It's a nice group.
Good group.
Very
good team.
group.
They know what they're doing there. They know how to acquire talent.
Yep, and develop talent and just
I heard them talking about today on the broadcast. They got a bunch of winners, people that are used to winning.
okay. Well,
I mean, they got to think about half that defense is formerly of Georgia.
That's true.
They've got like 2 natties.
Yeah, it's like if you want to draft guys that come in with the right mindset as rookies and pedigree, why not go to the best? I mean, essentially like NFL minor league team. So we'll see how it pans out. I mean, that NFC playoffs is going to be a bloodbath. It's like, who do you take right now? I think San Francisco plays Philly.
I mean, Dallas is going to choke, of course.
Yes, Johnny would agree with that as well. I think they must be coming up because I saw San Francisco open as a 1.5-point favorite over Philly.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those teams, I think, San Fran or Philly.
We know it won't be Bengals back in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Won't be Bills, probably. I don't know who that maybe Chiefs, Ravens, Chiefs, Dolphins.
That Ravens defense is so good, man.
Yes, it is.
I still don't think the Dolphins can get there with I just don't trust Tua.
I think once they get bullied, that's my fear is like a team comes and punches them in the mouth. I don't think they have a counterpunch.
And now no Phillips. I mean,
that hurts a lot.
That's tough.
So let's move, though, Addy, to the Sunday night football game between the Ravens and the Chargers. Did you get the dub in the matchup that you were sweating out here?
I did.
Nice.
I did. 3 points.
3 points. I've got you. I think our game is going to come down to tomorrow night's game with Dobbs going for me. I beat Connor in the back of the VIP. I was down 13 points going into this one with Zay Flowers and Gus Edwards.
Nice.
And the Zay Flowers garbage time touchdown put me over the top. I was up like 2 or 3 points, so you're in that stat correction range where you're like, I don't know if I'm celebrating this one yet.
So Connor is in Disney World mad.
Yes,
right now.
he's so mad.
Love to see it.
Probably taking a walk while the kids are in bed. A lot going on for Connie. They're moving as soon as they get back from Disney.
Connor did post in the group chat something like F fantasy,
He did, yes, because he had a great week.
So that's never a good sign.
Yeah.
Whenever you're tilting like that and posting in the group chat,
You're paying attention to your fantasy matchups in Disney. He was texting us all game during the Colts game, me and Dad. So
also I saw he was mad about Jalen Hurts. No, he was mad about Jalen Hurts putting up 40. But it's like, dude, you had Josh Allen put up 46, Connor.
Say like
enough.
Yeah,
enough.
You let me have some as well. Jalen has not.
It's just a bad look for Connor and bad luck for people in general. Just stay out of the group chat, guys. Yep. Just don't do the deal where it's like, oh my God, I've got the most points against. Oh my God, my division. Just don't be that dude. Don't be that dude.
Don't chat. Log out.
Don't chat.
Don't ever chat. Don't trade. Don't chat.
Don't form any relationships ever.
Ever. It just leads to pain and embarrassment. Let's talk about the Sunday night game, though. Ravens got the victory. I don't have the score here in front of me. But the leading scorer, Addy, is that damn Khalil Mack. Once again, the 30.8 output for Khalil Mack tonight. 6 tackles, looks like 2 sacks, and a forced fumble. So here's the stretch for Khalil Mack the last 4 games. 28.95 in Week 9, 10 points in Week 10, 40.2 in Week 11, and 30.8 in Week 12.
Don't forget about 81 in week 4.
That is true as well. 81 points in week 4. I mean, we mentioned it. The boom games for Khalil Mack, because you also have a 2.5, a 5.25, a 2.75, 4.25. So there are quiet games. It's either ice cold or literally nuclear explosion for Khalil Mack. But you've had some really nice boom games for Mack here the last 4 weeks.
There's just been too much disrespect about Khalil Mack. This guy was one of the best pass rushers of the last decade.
Traded for 2 firsts, I think, from the Raiders to the Bears.
Yeah. And I mean, we talk about it all the time. We care about pressures. This guy has had a great pressure rate his entire career. He just got a little unlucky with sacks. He was also, I think, in some bad situations, dealt with some injuries, normal stuff. But when this guy's healthy, when this guy's locked in, he's still as good as it gets. So
he's probably near the top of the mountain now for overall IDP scoring, if I had to guess.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, the 81-point output's going to put you up there, I'd say.
Yeah, but even so, that people are going to throw shade at him about that, Oh, take away the 81-point game. Well, make it a 2-sack game.
Yeah.
Dude still got, what, 10 sacks on the season?
Yep.
I mean, you got to give this dude his love. I mean,
I think he has 11 sacks now.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
I think he's up there in terms of, league leaders for sacks.
Yeah.
And especially now with Bosa. Did we mention Joey Bosa? Just a sprained foot, I think it was. A foot sprain going on IR. I thought, oh, my God, it's a fractured ankle. It's, popped Achilles, something really, really bad. Sprained foot. Now, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, sprained foot's not that bad. But, Joey, buddy, you're crying on the cart. You better be out for, multiple months at this point.
Get you a strawberry Rita or whatever it is you was drinking.
In your varsity Letterman jacket from high school. So, Jadeveon Clowney, 20 points. He was the second leading scorer in this game.
Been very good.
Yeah, the last 4 weeks, 11.25, 25.9, 14.7, and 20.05 tonight. So, nice little stretch for Clowney. A couple of disrespected, highly drafted, very talented edge rushers balling out in this game. Queen and Roquan Smith were 3 and 4, 19 and 17. Kyle Hamilton was, looks like 5th there. So this is Kyle Hamilton's recent run of games going back to week 7 against Detroit, 11 and a quarter, 19, 7.25, 33.8, 10.75, 16.5. So Kyle Hamilton's been a little bit up and down this season, but had some nice performances here down the stretch, Addy.
Yeah, Kyle Hamilton, I mean, he's still going to be a locked-in safety one for you. Should never be concerned really about him. I wanted to point out our boy Alohi Gilman.
Yes.
Been very, very good lately, guys. Looking at the last 4 weeks, starting with week 9, 20.8 points against the Jets. And then week 10, he had 12.25 points, 12.75 the next week, and then 13.75 points this week against the Ravens. Tackle numbers have been really good this year, though. In 5 of his 8 games, he's been over 6 tackles.
Wow. Sounds like a good IDP bet right there.
Yes. Yeah, he was someone that I had this week, definitely. It was 4.5 was his line. I had tons of Gilman. Had a great week as far as tackle props go.
That's a nice plug, folks. We have an episode of IDP Bets coming out on Thursday with Johnny, Addy, and Mike Wallert. So make sure you check that out.
I hit every single bet I made this week.
What could go wrong next week?
Except the one that was the biggest lock, which was a Landon Roberts over 7.5 tackles. I thought that was an easy play.
Come on, Landon.
But
you know better than that.
Anyway, Gilman has been really, really good this year. And, the usage isn't ideal. When we talk about ideal usage, we talk about players that are getting a ton of box snaps, slot snaps on the line. He's not getting those, but it don't matter. He's being productive, and he is that second safety, alongside Derwin James. And he's been pretty productive, maybe a little more productive than Derwin at some points in the season.
I don't think that's really that much of an argument. I wanted to pull it up since we were discussing it. The scoring leaders thus far for this season, I think this is updated with Week 12 scores. TJ Watt is number 1. Danielle Hunter, number 2. Myles Garrett, number 3. Maxx Crosby, number 4. Micah Parsons, number 5. Listen to that. I mean, the ADP from back in the spring is looking pretty good with how these top scorers are kind of rounding out here, because Foye Oluokun is next, then Fred Warner, then Deron Bland. So that's a league winner potential right there. And guess who's next with 200 points on the season? It is Khalil Mack. So I believe that's probably like 8 or 9 overall for Khalil Mack.
He may not be on the updated list since it just happened.
Okay, yeah, that's true. His points might not have been calculated yet.
So what was TJ Watt?
So TJ Watt was 243. Danielle Hunter was 221.
So he's going to be close.
He's going to be close. Yep, 30 points.
He'll be 2 or 3.
He'll be number 2. If his points are not calculated yet, he'll be number 2 behind TJ Watt.
Yeah. Fantastic year for Khalil.
So there you go. That's the Week 12 recap, folks. Hope you all enjoyed. This was one of those weeks where we had no bye weeks again. I think because of the holidays, you got 3 Thanksgiving games. You got the Did you like the Black Friday game? It wasn't a great game, but just the idea of a game on Black Friday?
Not really.
Wow, you've been a real Grinch about the holidays.
Yeah, I didn't really care for it.
All right, folks, you heard it here first. Adam does not like more football. I loved it. I thought it was great. Watched most of it, but when it started to get out of hand a little bit, I was like, all right, I'm out of here.
Thought it was a bunch of corporate BS.
It was Amazon, so it's like, you're getting all these Amazon Prime commercials during commercial breaks.
It was just tough. I mean, it was, I had to work, so that was really it.
Hey, maybe prioritize. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I should have called in sick.
Should have called in sick. So we got a Monday night game tomorrow. We mentioned it, Vikings-Bears. We'll be joined by Kyle Bellyfuel for the waivers episode, so that'll be a lot of fun. Always good chopping it up with Kyle B. And then we mentioned it, we have the IDP Bets episode with Johnny and Mike Wohlert coming up on Thursday. Jace will have another rankings episode. This is it, folks. This is, when we talk about the home stretch, 2 weeks of the regular season left to secure those playoff spots. Make sure you're tuning in to Johnny the Greek's Cornerback Corner. Make sure you're checking out the Banged Up podcast with Lee Andrews. Every week, I listen to this episode, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know so-and-so was banged up and probably not going to play in this game.
Yeah.
So you're looking for every little advantage that you can find as we approach the playoffs. So don't leave meat on the bone, Addy. Take advantage of all the resources we're giving y'all.
Tons of resources. The data is going to be out there for you probably by Tuesday. I've done a update of the dynasty ranks. So, yeah, there's no excuse not to just dunk all over your league mates, guys.
That's right. And we're going to take care of y'all. We mentioned IDP bets. So if your teams are out of it and you're like, what do I have to look forward to? We're going to give you some betting suggestions for week 13. We're going to have another trade show episode coming up with the 3 of us, me, Addy, and Bobby. And then we've got Sigmund Bloom coming up for a dynasty episode, folks. We're going to be talking about players to stash right now as we head into 2024. So just some really good stuff coming down the pipe. You don't want to miss out. TheIDPshow.com. Huge announcement as well. The YouTube has passed 1,000 subscribers. So thank you to everyone who helped us reach that milestone. We really, really appreciate y'all. If you haven't subscribed yet, it's youtube.com/@theIDPshow. Jake and Jeff are doing the Sunday morning live stream now. I think this was the 3rd week that we've done that. The trade show is a live stream. We got IDP bets on there. So we're just cranking, Addy.
It's all about that money.
That's
that
right.
ad bread. Oh, sorry. God, messed it up.
That
Messed it
ad
up.
bread. I'm not editing that out,
It was
by the way.
this. It was. That wasn't a good look for me.
It wasn't a good look.
I had to get humbled real quick.
Instant karma right there,
Ad
folks.
revenue.
Ad
That's
revenue.
all. That's all that matters, guys.
So thank you for helping us cross that threshold. And we'll be back.
It is a big deal.
Yes,
1K,
it is. 1K.
you know?
We started the year with about 250.
Yeah.
So we've added about 750 subscribers over there.
Major shout out to Josh doing all the editing and putting all the shorts together and all the uploading, and done a great job, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Proud of you, mate.
Thank you. Check
Proud
it
of
out.
you guys for subscribing.
Thank you so much for checking us out. We'll be back next Sunday with the Week 13 recap. I'll be back tomorrow night with Kyle B. So make sure y'all check it out. But until then, enjoy the football, and we'll see you guys soon.
It's the IDP show, now you know